Chuck Norris, the toughest man in Hollywood, said I love you to his children every single day. Not once, not sometimes, every single day. And his son just told the world knew Chuck Norris as a warrior. A man who stared down danger on screen for 5 decades. The martial arts champion, who never backed down. The Texas Ranger, who always got his man. The legend the internet made immortal in 1,000 jokes and 1,000,000 memes. There were people who knew something the world never saw. His children. And in the days following his sudden passing on March 19th, 2026, Dakota, Danilee, and Greta Norris stepped forward. Not to talk about the movies, not to talk about the legend, to talk about their father. What they said will stay with you long after this video ends. We spend so much time celebrating what Chuck Norris did for the world, the films, the fights, the fitness, the faith. All of that deserves to be celebrated. All of it is real and remarkable and worthy of every tribute it has received. But today, we are going somewhere different, because the greatest thing Chuck Norris ever did was not on any screen. It was not in any arena. It was not in any gym or movie set or television studio. It was in the quiet moments, the daily moments, the moments that never made the headlines. The moment he walked through the door and his children knew, without a single doubt, that they were safe. Chuck Norris was 86 years old when he passed away in Hawaii, surrounded by his family, at peace, just 10 days after his 86th birthday. He is survived by his beloved wife, Gina O'Kelly, by his children Dina, Mike, Eric, and twins Dakota and Danilee, by 13 grandchildren who called him Papa, and by a world full of fans he considered his personal friends. Today, we hear from the ones who knew him best. Dakota Norris is 24 years old. He grew up as the son of the most famous tough guy in the world. He grew up in the shadow of a legend so large that most people would have found it impossible to see the man behind it. Dakota saw him clearly, and what he shared on Instagram after his father's passing was not the tribute of a son honoring a celebrity. It was the tribute of a young man honoring the greatest father God could have ever given him. Those are his words, not ours, the greatest father God could have ever given him. Dakota called his father the finest man he had ever known. He shared something so simple, so quietly powerful, that it stopped everyone who read it. He said there was not a single day, not one day, that went by without Chuck Norris saying I love you to his children. Think about that. A man who spent his career playing characters of iron, will, and unbreakable toughness. A man whose screen presence could silence a room. A man the entire world associated with strength and force and power. A man said I love you to his children every single day, without fail, without exception. Dakota also spoke about his father's generosity, his faith, the way he lived his values, not just preached them, the way he was the same man at home that he was in front of the cameras. And in Hollywood, that is rarer than any award, Dakota Norris lost his father, and in his grief, he gave the world a gift. The real Chuck Norris. Danilee Norris is Dakota's twin sister, and her tribute, posted alongside her brothers, came from a place of deep, unshakable love. From the moment she was born, she said, Chuck Norris was her safe person, the one she knew would always be there, the one whose presence meant that everything was going to be okay. She talked about his warrior exterior, because she saw it too. She lived with it. She knew the man the world saw. But she also knew what was underneath it, a heart full of love. She spoke about the wisdom he gave her, the compassion he showed her, the way he raised her and her brother Dakota with the same discipline and faith and devotion that he brought to everything else in his life. There is something profound about a daughter describing her father as her safe person, because safe is not a word the world ever associated with Chuck Norris. Dangerous? Yes. Unstoppable? Yes. Legendary? Absolutely. But for Danilee, her father was safety itself. The warrior came home every night, put down the legend, and became something even more powerful. Dad, and then there is Greta. Chuck Norris had 13 grandchildren. 13? And by every account, he showed up for every single one of them the same way he showed up for everything else in his life. With everything he had, his granddaughter Greta shared her own tribute, and it painted a picture of Chuck Norris that the action movie world never quite got to see. Papa, not the legend, not the icon, not the meme. Papa, who showed up to her soccer games, who sat in those stands and cheered for her as proud as he could be. Note, who made her feel, in those ordinary, beautiful, irreplaceable moments, like she was the most important person in the world. And Greta, with the kind of grace that clearly runs in this family, found room for a smile inside her grief. She called him the man who counted to infinity twice, because, even in mourning, the Norris family understood something important. Chuck Norris would have wanted the laughter, He would have wanted the jokes alongside the tears. He would have wanted the world to smile when they thought of him, and Greta gave him that. One last time, step back for a moment and look at what Chuck Norris's children have given us. Not a press release, not a carefully managed public statement designed to protect a brand or a legacy. Real words from real people who are really grieving, and every single word points to the same truth. The legend was real, but the man was even better. The man who said, "I love you" every single day. The man who was his daughter's safe person. The man who sat in soccer stands and cheered his granddaughter on with everything he had. That man, the private man, the father, the papa, was the greatest role Chuck Norris ever played, and he played it for 86 years. Without a script, without a director, without a camera. Just a man showing up every single day for the people he loved. That is the legacy that matters most. Not the box office numbers, not the martial arts championships, not the Walker Texas Ranger reruns playing somewhere in the world right now. The I love yous every day. Without exception, that is the Chuck Norris his children knew. And now, thanks to Dakota and Danilee and Greta, it is the Chuck Norris the whole world gets to know too. Chuck Norris celebrated his 86th birthday on March 10th, 2026. He posted a video of himself training, still moving, still pushing, still the man he had always been, and he told the world, with that unmistakable Chuck Norris smile, "I don't age, I level up." 10 days later, his family gathered around him in Hawaii, and he left this world the same way he lived in it, surrounded by love, at peace, on his own terms. He leaves behind a wife who adored him, children who called him the finest man they ever knew, grandchildren who called him Papa, and a world full of people who called him their friend. The cobra that bit him died after 6 days. The fire that touched his hand said ouch and went out. Now, somewhere beyond all of it, Chuck Norris is doing exactly what his granddaughter knew he would do. He is counting to infinity for the 3rd time. Rest in peace, Chuck Norris. The warrior, the father, the papa, the man. You said "I love you" every single day. And the whole world loves you back.